And
welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
I did Upside.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
That love what they do.
And do tech
good. Ha! We're doing tech here at VueConf US 2019. Yeah, where are we at?
We're in Tampa, Florida at the
Strass Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, and we're here with a very special guest. We're here with Miriam Suzanne. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
There she is.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so when is your talk?
When is my talk? It got moved. So now I'm tomorrow afternoon. I think I'm the last one of the conference.
Oh, really?
When were you?
Wow.
So no
When
pressure.
was it going to
It was supposed to be like right now or soon.
be? Are you sure they didn't change it? They changed it back.
I hope they changed it.
So what are you speaking about today?
I'm talking about CSS.
Stop.
CSS?
We love CSS.
Mhm.
Awesome. I love CSS
We're
too.
down for it.
Mm-hmm. So what about CSS with Vue?
I'm talking about dynamic CSS. So a lot of the new things that CSS can do, especially if you pass in raw data with CSS variables, and then manipulating that data directly in CSS to generate dynamic layouts.
Okay, so hash or hyphen. What do I do? How do I use these variables?
Well, yeah, dash, give it a name, and then give it a value.
But watch her talk.
but how do I actually use it with Vue?
Oh, so with Vue, so the great thing is instead of doing a lot of inline styles that are generated from the JavaScript, and that are hard to override, you can do inline variables very simply and completely safely, because all the CSS has to do to override them is ignore them. And that's it.
Yeah.
So if you pass in variables and then let the CSS decide what to do with them, it's a totally safe way of passing in data from JavaScript and doing anything you want with it.
Nice.
I love that. So why this subject?
Yeah.
Well, I spend most of my time doing CSS, and it was a thing that I started doing. It was actually, we were doing a scheduling app for a client, and I was like, I bet if we just pass in a start time and duration, the CSS could do the entire layout for us, and we wouldn't have to do any of the positioning things on a schedule. Yeah, I built it in like 15 minutes and showed it to the other developers, and they were like, yeah, okay, that'll work.
15 minutes.
Awesome.
And we had it's just, if you know CSS grid, it only takes those couple values and you've got a whole layout.
Oh, see, that's beautiful.
So, we didn't have the tool done in 15 minutes, but we got that proof of concept, and
I hope you carry a mic around and just drop it after.
Like whenever
you have these moments.
It worked. It's lucky that the client doesn't need support for Internet Explorer or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
true.
It's not everywhere, but there's a lot of fun toys in CSS now, and using them to do things that used to be quite a bit harder. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's nice to see it finally. I feel like it's almost rapid. It seems like for a while it kind of sat there, and then FlexDoc, boom, grid, variables.
Yeah, and grid landed in a single weekend in 3 browsers.
Yeah,
that was intense.
Well, it's amazing now that we have these evergreen browsers. We don't have to have these concerns anymore with browsers not being able to support things. And then they'll just catch up. Yeah.
And then there's I think it's Houdini that's going to allow you to build
it's coming
anything you want, which not quite sure how I feel about that yet.
Yeah, no, it should be interesting. I think they're hoping to get good ideas from it.
Yeah.
And then basically pave the cow paths. Like if people build cool things in Houdini, then the browser developers can just say, oh, well, that's a good syntax. Let's just use it.
That's true.
Kind of like how nesting has it's starting to be in CSS now. Their specs are out. They're like, we're doing it. Everybody.
And variables came from Sass, although they adjusted some for the DOM. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, SAS brought so many good ideas that they were like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you told us kind of how the origin of your talk. Can you tell us a little bit about the time it took you to make the talk, and like, did you present to your family and friends? Like, like what? Tell us about the background.
I give quite a few talks every year.
Yeah.
So I've done this one a few times. It sort of changes every time because I build new demos for it, and I think, oh, like, what if I did this? And I'll see somebody else give a talk and they'll show something and I'll be like, I bet I could build that with CSS variables. And then I'll go back and code it that night and be like, remember what this person talked about yesterday? Let's try it with CSS variables.
Yeah. I love that.
That's awesome.
So I enjoy doing that. Yeah.
You know, we didn't really actually even ask you about like what do you do and where do you go?
Yeah. I run a small remote agency. There's 6 of us. I'm in Denver. There's 2 of us in Denver, and then people across the country. So Chicago area, North Carolina now.
What's it called?
Oddbird.
Oh.
And then how can people find it? We'll put a link in the show.
Yeah, check out oddbird.net.
Okay.
And we do client work for clients of all sizes, all sorts of projects. Awesome. So sometimes we're doing greenfield start to finish of a new application, and sometimes we're coming in and we're the team that takes over a project that was done quick and dirty, and we come in and fix it.
You're the wolf.
Yeah, we do a lot of refactors.
Why did they use
design
5 different jQuery versions?
Exactly. Yes, you don't need jQuery and these 5 other.
2 and 3.
Why did you pick CSS? Versus using SAS or less or anything like that?
I do use SAS quite a bit, and that's actually, I sort of started speaking at conferences because I released a tool in SAS. It's called Suzy.
That's right.
Yeah, so I built that back in 2009, and that got big, and then it started to, Grid came out, and I was like, oh, my career's over. So I was like, I better learn Grid and I started giving a talk called Don't Use My Grid System, and that went over well.
That's awesome. So how did you start to get interested in Vue?
I'm friends with Sarah Drasner, and she wouldn't shut up about it. So I started looking at it, and I liked that it respects CSS and SAS as their own piece, and HTML as its own piece. And I was like, I can immediately look at this, and I already know how to write 2/3 of a single file component. Yeah. All I need to do is learn that other third, and I can start building things on my own.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And it was so quick. I picked up Vue. I did my first demo in it for a talk, and then over the summer, I built my slide deck. I rebuilt all my slide decks in Vue.
Wow.
Nice. And it's just the first app I've built.
Why not?
Yeah, it's the first app that I've built start to finish with JavaScript on my own. And I was like, oh, that was...
Anything cool that you did in it? That you're like...
I think it's pretty cool, but it's probably shitty.
Well, no, did you add anything that was like uniquely you that you thought
it uses some of these ideas. It uses CSS Grid to do some of the layout, and I can pass in... I did a thing that basically lets me write slides in a markdown file, and it just has a slide delimiter, and then it also allows front matter for each slide. So it basically parses it as multiple markdown files with front matter, but all from a single file. And then I can reference components from there and pass in variables, so I can do exactly what I'm talking about. I can pass in those CSS variables per slide and then have it alter the design of the slide.
Oh, that's fun.
That's really cool.
So how did you get started learning Vue? Because you said that you still had that 1/3 left to go. Was it just building those slides?
I think it was Sarah's CSS tricks articles. I sort of I was building my one demo and I needed it to do certain things, and I started reading her articles and being like, okay, and checking the docs, and okay, I can pull this in, I can pull this in. And then finally I was like, all right, I got to go learn some more JavaScript. So then I took one of the online courses, got better at JavaScript generally, and that's helped.
Which one?
Yeah, which one was it?
Is it a West Boss?
It wasn't a West Boss. I think it might have been Front End Masters.
Oh, yeah.
but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was funny. They have a list of courses, and it's like learn Ruby, learn CSS, and then introduction to JavaScript. You can't learn JavaScript. JavaScript cannot be learned.
It will never be learned.
Well, what was that aha moment for you? When did it click and you're like, I get this and it's awesome?
Vue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was sort of right away. The fact that I was able to build something quickly without much JavaScript experience, I was just like, oh, this is a thing I can use without really understanding a lot of the underlying technology. I mean, I come from SAS, so I understood just like functions and arguments and basic programming, and was like, a lot of this translates, and the code is just very clean in Vue, very organized. It was easy to look at other people's stuff and copy and paste and find my way.
I love how the Vue files, like you're saying,
beautiful.
how it's like the separation of presentation and styling. It's just really nice. I love how simple it is. And the fact that you can just, like we were talking earlier, how you could just include the Vue.js file, and suddenly you're
just one line and you're in.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I need to install these 50 other modules and packages that have like 1,000 other packages that are dependent on them.
Yeah, and of course you can get as complicated as you want.
Yes.
But like that point of entry of just that one line of that include and
I think I started with just a CodePen demo for the initial. So then I was using the like new Vue and like linking to an existing HTML template. And then I to actually build something, I switched over to Nuxt and got all that opinionated, helpful, built-in stuff.
Have you played with Vue Press yet?
I played with it briefly. I decided it didn't do all the things I wanted for my website, so I didn't use it much.
What do you?
I ended up using 11D.
Oh, really? Does it do Vue.js?
It ships without any browser-side JS.
It's not
I'm trying to figure out now if I can like slowly integrate Vue into it. I'm happy with static site for most things, but I'd like to be able to build like little demos in and special little features.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking into that.
Could do like CodePen embeds.
I'm going to need to read some more docs.
Well, we hear the docs are pretty good. Almost everybody has like said that. Like the standard.
It's true.
Why do you like Vue? The docs.
The docs are amazing.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They are. It's also like, so this is a real fun fact for me, but I really enjoy the comparison that's in the Vue docs, where it's like, why would you choose Vue over React or Ember or jQuery or Bob's your uncle, right? Like anything, and it's like, well, this is why you would choose this, and this is why it's better, and this is why it's worse, and this is how it's like the same.
For me, there was kind of no question between them, because when I look at the others, I see systems that were designed for JavaScript developers that allow you to then do HTML and CSS in a JavaScript way, and I want the opposite of that.
Yeah, I love that.
That makes sense.
It empowers, especially people who are HTML and CSS like engineers, right? Like those are also engineers, right? Like it's not just a JavaScript engineer. It's not just a Vue engineer or an Ember engineer. It's like HTML and CSS are hard and difficult, and people are very passionate about it. And so it's amazing that you're able to use Vue in that way and be like, you know what, I just need this bit of JavaScript. And
immediately it gave me, just creating a couple form fields with vModel, I could suddenly manipulate all my data and then pass it into styles. And that was all that I needed to build a lot more CSS demos while barely touching any JavaScript. It gave me that right away, and that was a great way in.
Were you like, cool, and then you're like, let's go out to dinner and celebrate, this is so awesome.
Except it was more like, let's stay in and code all night.
This
is so awesome.
Pizza and wine and code.
I hope I don't have to see anybody for a week.
That would be a good hackathon. It's just called Pizza Wine.
Pizza Wine Code from 9 to noon. With a brunch in the morning. Yeah, you have mimosas in the morning.
Oh my god.
Can we have Ben?
I can't drink and code at the same time.
Oh, it's good.
Can't do it.
Can we have maybe waffles and chicken?
Yeah, we got chicken waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
Oh, waffles
Sorry,
and
we're
chicken.
hungry. Don't judge us.
Waffles and chicken. Well, I know we're running just about out of time.
Tangent there, sorry.
How can people learn more about you? What's your website? What's your Twitter handle? We'll put it in the show notes, but for our audio listeners.
Yeah, Twitter handle is at Miriam Suzanne, MiriSuzanne. You can find me either at oddbird.net or miriamsuzanne.com or miriam.codes, probably even shorter,
Sounds good. I like that.
And if you don't mind, do you have any kind of words of wisdom or any kind of final thing to tell our audience about your talk or about anything within the community with Vue?
No, I don't know. Words of wisdom. I don't know. Play around. There's a lot of fun toys.
That's great.
Build little things. It's fun to build little things on CodePen or wherever, and
that's how you learn, right?
Yeah. That's how I learned.
Yeah.
That's how I learned grid. That's how I learned all these things. It's just like, what would happen if I tried to build this thing? Wow.
Or Code Sandbox. I learned today, and we tweet about how they can actually deploy directly to Netlify now.
Really?
That's pretty clever.
Super cool.
Yeah, I saw some features there that I want to try using for a workshop I'm doing. It seemed like I could get everybody working from the same system to start with, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody having to set up their own machine.
Yeah. That's always the worst.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Great to meet you all.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We got some more coming up.
You too.